Hi, this is Troy Ray. I'm pastor of Lakeshore Family Fellowship. Jesus told another parable that he started off by saying, "At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like." That time is referring to the verses immediately before this when he talked about his return, the things that would be going on when he returns again. Then he says the kingdom of heaven will be like, and he goes on to say it will be like 10 virgins who are waiting for the bridegroom. Now, parables are simple. They're not as complicated as people would like to make them out. The parable of the sower is really about soil. It's about where the soil land or where the seeds land and whether or not the ground is prepared to receive the seed. The parable of the man, the king who was calling in his debtors, is about forgiveness. The king forgave the man went out and would not forgive somebody else. So this parable, the parable about the virgins, is about being prepared. In a way, it's about how children act when their parents aren't around. When I was a kid, my younger sister Marion, and I used to get along pretty good, which means that we didn't leave any permanent scars on each other. We were horsing around with something one day, and she grabbed something out of my room and ran out of the house with it. And I chased after her. She ran next door and rang the doorbell, and I ran up. And as I jumped at her, she jumped back and landed into the jalousie windows. You have to be old to know what jalousie windows are. They were panels of glass that formed a window, and on the inside you could roll the knob and they would open up. They don't make them anymore. So she jumped back into the jalousie windows and broke some of them. So I bent down and started picking up the glass. And while I was bent down, she raised up and hit me on the back of my neck so hard that I almost blacked out. Then she took off running back home, and the lady that lived at this house opened the door. Well, I finished cleaning the glass up and said something innocuous, and then I ran home. And when I went inside, Marion was standing next to our father, grinning like the cat that just ate the canary. But even though I was young, I had the capacity for evil. And I grinned a little bit myself because I knew that the day would come that I would catch her. And that day did come. I came in from outside, and the way that our house was laid out, as I came in from the carport, I immediately was in the dining room, and the kitchen was on the left, and there was only one way in and out of the kitchen, and Marion was in the kitchen. And I smiled, and she screamed. And as I approached her, she cowered down and turned her back to me, and I hit her so hard in the middle of her back that it thumped like a watermelon. And she went, oh. Well, she survived, and I survived, and we love each other. But my point is that this parable is about how people act when they're not being watched. Now, some of these virgins, there were 10, they were a part of a bridal party. And so whenever the bridegroom, just like a man, you never know when he's going to show up. Whenever the bridegroom showed up, they were to go out and greet him and welcome him into the bridal banquet. And so they had to have lamps to go out at night. Half of them got an extra jug of oil just to make sure that there'd be enough while they waited. And the other half didn't. So when he came, the others wanted some more oil because their lamps were going out. And the smart one said, sorry, we've got oil for ourselves here. Maybe you can go buy some. And which was a reasonable answer because the idea was to be ready for the bridegroom, and they were going to be ready. And so it says that the bridegroom went in with these others that were ready, and the others were left out. The story here, the lesson for us, is a lesson about being a disciple of Jesus. Now, you could, let's say theoretically, that a person accepts Christ and, I'm a Christian and I do things that are Christian. I go to church when I can. I read the Bible when I can, and this and that and the other thing. And that's good. That's good. What this is about is it's about being a disciple of Jesus, which we are all called to. Discipleship is not a call for special people. Discipleship means learning how to live the life of Jesus here on this earth. And that's what this is about. It's about preparing our lives for the return of the Lord by living like his disciple, by doing discipleship things, by spending time in prayer, by spending time learning more about God in the Bible, by spending time giving ourselves in service to other people. That's what disciples do. And so, if you think about it, it's a really ludicrous idea that nobody's watching right now. I mean, we're talking about God. So let's not fool ourselves. The time for preparation is now. And the preparation itself has its own reward, which is to draw us closer to him. Something to think about. I love you. We'll talk some more.